a maid I don't have to pay," he said, laughing. "Too bad I was standing right by the door. That was my husband, my still legal husband. And that maid, the same one I hired. The same one I trusted with my home, my schedule, my life." I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't even breathe. I simply walked away straight to my car, straight to my lawyer, straight to the beginning of his end. They say money can't buy class, but it can certainly expose the lack of it. We lived in a $12 million mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Stone facade, circular driveway, views of Long Island Sound that made dinner guests forget their own names. He was old money East Coast, Groton, Yale, trust fund that predated the Civil War. The kind of man who wore loafers without socks and called it summer casual. I was Midwest grit wrapped in designer clothes. Detroit born, state school educated, architecture degree earned with student loans and 17-hour days. Single mom turned successful firm owner who learned that survival was an art form. He said I gave him humility, made him feel grounded. I thought he gave me forever. 15 years. That's how long we'd been married when everything cracked open like a rotten egg. No children. By mutual choice, we told people. Truth was I'd wanted them desperately for the first 5 years. He kept saying, later. Then, when things settle down, then nothing at all. I threw myself into the house instead. Every room became my canvas. I designed the guest wing addition myself, imported Italian Carrara marble, hand-blown Venetian glass fixtures, crown molding I sketched on napkins during business dinners. The gardens were my meditation. Heirloom roses, lavender hedges. A fountain I'd commissioned from an artist in Tuscany. I managed every detail because I loved making beautiful things. Because when you've grown up with hand-me-downs, creating perfection becomes an addiction. That's why I hired Lucia myself. She was 26. Colombian. Sweet smile, grateful eyes, English that improved every week. She'd worked for the Weatherbys down the road before they moved to Palm Beach. Clean references, legal visa, everything proper. I trained her personally. Showed her how I liked the silver polished, the way the Egyptian cotton sheets should be folded, which cleaning products to use on the antique Persian rugs. She called me Senora Catherine, even though I told her Catherine was fine. She was respectful, thorough, invisible when she needed to be. He noticed her anyway. First, it was compliments. "Lucia's really brightened up the place. That girl has such a lovely smile. She makes excellent coffee." Then it was attention. Staying home when he usually golfed. Working from his study instead of the city office. Always finding reasons to walk through whatever room she was cleaning. I noticed him noticing. The way his eyes followed her when she reached for high shelves. How he'd suddenly appear in the kitchen when she was preparing lunch. The new spring in his step on days she worked, but I convinced myself I was being paranoid, jealous without cause. 15 years of marriage had to count for something. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I gave him too many benefits of too many doubts. Until that Thursday in March, I'd been at the Fairfield County Garden Club meeting. Dull as dishwater but necessary for appearances. Left early claiming a headache that wasn't entirely fictional. The house felt different when I walked in. Charged. Electric in a way that made my skin crawl. I heard his voice before I saw him. Deep, satisfied chuckle echoing from his study. "I'm telling you, Marcus, it's the perfect arrangement. I'm marrying a maid I don't have to pay." My hand froze on the door handle. She irons my shirts, makes my drinks, and Christ gives better head than my wife ever did. And the best part, Catherine thinks she's just keeping house. Laughter, his voice, lower now conspiratorial. "We're flying to Cabo next week. Told Catherine it's a business retreat. Lucia thinks it's our honeymoon." The floor tilted, the walls breathed. 15 years collapsed into a single moment of crystalline clarity. I backed away from the door, quiet as death. Walked to my car on legs that didn't feel attached to my body. Sat in the Mercedes for 20 minutes before I could remember how to start the engine. Then I drove straight to Manhattan, to the law offices of Sterling Price and Associates, to my divorce attorney who'd been sitting dormant in my contacts for 3 years, not because I'd planned this, but because I'd never been stupid enough to marry someone without an exit strategy. James Sterling looked exactly like what he was Shark in an Armani suit. "Catherine, it's been a while. What can I do for you? I need to review my prenup. Every clause, every loophole, every comma." Trouble in paradise. Paradise just became hell. How quickly can you work? 2 hours later, I understood why James charged $800 an hour. Our prenuptial agreement wasn't just ironclad, it was steel-reinforced titanium. The fidelity clause was crystal clear. Any extramarital relationship voided his claim to marital assets. The financial transparency clause was even better. Any undisclosed expenditures over $5,000 constituted breach of fiduciary duty. "How do you want to play this?" James asked. Quietly, thoroughly, and with extreme prejudice. "I like your style. We'll need evidence." "I'll get you evidence." That night I cooked dinner like nothing had changed. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, the Sancerre he preferred. We ate in the formal dining room the way we had for 15 years. "Good day," I asked. "Fine. Boring meetings, you know how it is." "How's your trip to Cabo shaping up?" "Oh, that." He didn't even flinch. "Should be productive. New client development. Might extend it a few days if things go well." I nodded, smiled, sipped my wine. "That's wonderful, darling. You work so hard." The lies fell from his lips like water, natural as breathing. After dinner, he went to his study. I went to mine. I'd been managing our household finances for years. Every account, every credit card, every expense tracked in spreadsheets that would make a CPA weep with joy. It took me 3 hours to find what I was looking for. The jewelry store charges, $15,000 over 6 months. Tiffany, Cartier, Van Cleef and Arpels. I'd never received any of those pieces. The hotel reservations, the Carlyle, the Plaza, the St. Regis. Always the same pattern, one night midweek charged to our American Express. I'd never stayed at any of those hotels. The airline tickets. First class to Miami. Car service to exclusive resorts. Spa treatments. Champagne charges that could fund a small country's defense budget. I'd never been to Miami with him. Every purchase, every indulgence, every secret gift to his maid he didn't have to pay had been charged to our joint accounts. My money, funding his betrayal. The financial transparency clause didn't just apply to business expenses. It covered everything. James was going to have a field day. Friday morning, he left for the office early. I waited until I heard his car pull out of the driveway, then called Lucia. "Señora Catherine, is everything okay? I need to speak with you. It's important. Can you come in today?" "Of course, I will be there in 1 hour." She arrived in her usual uniform black slacks, white blouse hair pulled back in a neat bun. Still calling me Señora Catherine. Still looking grateful for the job. We sat in the morning room overlooking the rose garden. I poured coffee from the service she'd polished to mirror brightness. "Lucia, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." Her face went pale. She knew. "Are you having an affair with my husband?" Silence stretched between us like a taut wire. Then she started crying, not delicate tears. Ugly, heartbroken sobs that shook her whole body. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Señora Catherine. I never meant for this to happen." "How long?" 8 months. He said you were getting divorced." He said the marriage was over, that you were just waiting for the right time. Classic. Textbook. The same lie men had been telling for centuries. He said he loved me. She continued. That we would be married after the divorce. That he would help me bring my family to America. My heart cracked a little. Not for him. For her. For this young woman who'd believed promises that were never meant to be kept. Lucia, I need you to understand something. We are not getting divorced. We have never discussed divorce. He's lying to you. Her sobs intensified. The trip to Cabo that's happening next week, isn't it? She nodded. He told you it was your honeymoon. Another nod. I'm going to help you, I said. But first I need you to help me. We talked for 2 hours. She told me everything. The gifts, the promises, the elaborate lies he'd constructed to keep her compliant and me oblivious. She also told me about the photographs. Not just innocent vacation shots. Private moments. Intimate encounters. A catalog of betrayal stored on his phone backed up to the cloud account I had access to as his wife. Lucia, I need to ask you a favor, a big one. Anything, Señora Catherine. I need you to go on that trip to Cabo. Her eyes widened. But I need you to document everything. Every conversation, every lie he tells you about me, about our marriage, about your future together. I handed her a small recording device. State of the art. Barely visible when clipped inside a collar or pocket. This is legal. In Connecticut, only one party needs to consent to recording a conversation. You're consenting to record your own conversations. She stared at the device like it might bite her. Why are you helping me? Because he's lying to both of us. And because when this is over, you're going to need proof that you were deceived. Monday morning, he left for Cabo with a bounce in his step and a lie about client meetings. I wished him a wonderful trip. Kissed his cheek. Told him I'd miss him. Then I called a locksmith. By Wednesday, every lock in the house had been changed. New security codes, new garage door opener, the works. I also called his assistant. Margaret, it's Catherine. I need to discuss Richard's travel arrangements. Oh, Mrs. Hartford, I'm so sorry. But Mr. Hartford specifically asked me not to discuss his business travel with... Margaret, I'm not asking about business travel. I'm asking about the personal trip he's taking with his mistress to Cabo. Silence. The trip he's charged to our joint credit card. The trip that violates our prenuptial agreement. The trip that's going to cost him half of everything he owns. More silence. I need you to email me every travel arrangement, every expense report, every receipt. If you cooperate, I'll make sure you keep your job when the dust settles. If you don't, you'll be looking for work along with him. The email arrived within an hour. 47 pages of documentation. Every lie, every deception, every dollar spent on his maid he didn't have to pay. Friday morning, Lucia called from Cabo. Señora Catherine, I have everything. How much everything? Hours of recording. He talks about you constantly, says terrible things, says the marriage has been dead for years, says you're frigid and boring and that he's planning to divorce you anyway. And he also talks about other women. Many other women. He says I'm not the first, that there have been others since the beginning of your marriage. My blood turned to ice water. Others. He has photographs on his phone, different women. He shows them to his friends like trophies. 15 years. 15 years of business trips, and client dinners, and weekend golf tournaments. 15 years of being made a fool. There's more, Lucia said. He's planning to fire me after this trip. Says it's getting too complicated, too risky. He never intended to marry me, Señora Catherine. He's planning to find someone new. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Lucia, I need you to do exactly what I tell you. Can you do that? Yes. I'm sending you a plane ticket, different airline, same day. You're coming home 6 hours before he does. Can you make an excuse to leave early? I think so. Make it believable. Family emergency. Something he can't argue with. Okay. And Lucia, bring everything. Every gift he gave you. Every receipt you can find. Every piece of evidence. Saturday morning, Lucia landed at JFK. I picked her up myself. We drove straight to Sterling Price and Associates. Emergency weekend meeting. James charged double for Saturday consultation. Worth every penny. This is nuclear-level evidence, he said, reviewing the recordings, the photographs, the financial records. We could destroy him in court. I don't want to destroy him, I said. I want to eviscerate him. What's your preferred timeline? He lands at 5 p.m. tomorrow. I want papers served by 6. Ambitious. I'm paying you to be ambitious. Sunday at 5:47 p.m. Richard Hartford pulled into his driveway. His key didn't work. He stood at the front door for 10 minutes, stabbing at the lock like it had personally offended him. Then he started pounding. I watched from the upstairs window. Waited until he'd worked himself into a proper rage. Then I opened the door. Hello, darling. How was Cabo?
What the hell is wrong with the locks?
Nothing. They work perfectly, for people who live here. His face went through several interesting color changes. Catherine, what's going on? Well, let's see. You've been served with divorce papers. Your personal belongings are in storage unit 247 on Route 1. Here's the key. Your car has been repossessed. Turns out the lease was in my name. And your credit cards have been canceled. You can't do this? Actually, I can. Thanks to the fidelity clause you forgot about, and the financial transparency clause you violated approximately 67 times. I handed him a folder thick as a phone book. Bank records, hotel receipts, jewelry store charges, airline tickets, photos from your phone's cloud backup, hours of recorded conversations from your recent vacation. Oh, and statements from 3 other women who've come forward since news of our divorce broke this afternoon. He opened the folder, went pale, then green. Where's Lucia? Safely away from you. With a very good immigration lawyer and documentation proving she was deceived about our marital status. This is insane. You can't just kick you out of the house you never actually owned, cancel credit cards that were always in my name, reclaim assets that legally revert to me upon your breach of contract. Watch me. He stood there for a full minute, opening and closing his mouth like a landed fish. Catherine, please. We can work this out. It was a mistake. A midlife crisis. It meant nothing. You're right. It meant nothing. 15 years meant nothing. Our vows meant nothing. I meant nothing. That's not what but you know what does mean something. The fact that I'm keeping the house I designed, the money I earned, the life I built, and the name I never should have changed. You're being unreasonable. I'm being an architect. What? I'm building something new on the foundation of what you destroyed. And unlike your lies, my structure is going to last. I stepped back inside, started to close the door. Catherine, wait. For what? Where am I supposed to go? I suggest calling Lucia. Oh, wait, she's filing a restraining order on Monday. I suggest calling one of your other girlfriends. Oh, wait, they're all testifying against you in court. I paused. Actually, I have an idea. Why don't you call Marcus, the friend you bragged to about marrying a maid you didn't have to pay? Maybe he has a couch you can't afford. The door closed with a satisfying click. Through the window, I watched him get into an Uber. No idea where he was going. No longer my problem. 6 months later, the divorce was final. He fought. Of course he fought. Hired expensive lawyers with his parents' money. Claimed emotional distress. Argued that I'd entrapped him. James obliterated every argument with surgical precision. The prenup held. Every clause, every comma. I kept the house. The accounts. The investments. Even his precious wine collection turned out it was purchased with marital funds, making it marital property. He got his trust fund, his personal belongings, and a reputation that preceded him into every social circle from Greenwich to the Hamptons. Lucia got her green card. She testified truthfully, compassionately, without vindictiveness. The judge commended her courage. She also got a new job. My recommendation carried weight in the right circles. Last I heard, she was working for a lovely family in Westchester and taking night classes in business administration. I got my life back. Not the life I'd planned. Something better. Something mine. I sold the big house. Too many ghosts. Too many rooms designed around someone else's dreams. Bought a smaller place in New Canaan. Still beautiful. Still carefully curated. But built for one person who knew exactly what she wanted. Started my own architecture firm. Specialized in custom homes for women starting over. Divorced women. Widowed women. Women who needed spaces that belonged entirely to them. Business is booming, because it turns out there are a lot of us. Women who've been married to men who thought they were getting maids they didn't have to pay. Men who forgot that some women are architects. And architects don't just design buildings. We design escapes. We design revenge. We design justice. And we always design them to last. The best part, he never did understand what hit him. He'd spent so much time thinking of me as decoration, the pretty wife who made his house a home, that he never noticed I was the foundation. And when you attack the foundation, the whole structure comes down. He learned that the hard way. I taught him well. This was another true story from Whispers of Life. Because behind every perfect home, there's a secret someone never saw coming. If this hit home, don't forget to follow. We have more truths to uncover.